Everyone has a story to tell. It's my mission to tell it. Unscripted, unedited, we are on the record.
Hello, everyone. I'm Serena Fazan, and thank you so much for joining us for this episode of On the Record. You know, we're honored on this show to talk about positive change impacting the community. But sometimes that positive change, of course, starts with heartache and stories of heartbreak. And I mean, that's the best way to explain it, right? Melanie and Anthony DiTinno joining me right now because we're talking about childhood cancer. And thank you so much for being here and sharing your story about your son.
Thank you for having us. It's a very hard topic and something that I don't think we ever thought we would have to experience. Yeah. So we've become very passionate about raising awareness and, you know, letting everybody know that nobody fights alone. If you're faced with this, we're all in it together. And like you said, it's heartache. Mm-hmm. We're almost at the other end of it. Our son has 5 weeks left of his maintenance treatment and been blessed with the news that he's in remission.
I have goosebumps all over my body right now, honestly, talking about this because I'm a parent as well. You know, I have a 15-year-old daughter. We're doing the show in September because it's National Pediatric Cancer Awareness Month.
Absolutely,
yes.
Absolutely. And it's a good month just to kind of, again, make everybody aware of this is an illness and a disease that constantly has to be fought. So
there's not enough information and research done for our children, and we've learned that through this course of the year. So it's important to us to just let our children shine and they're the future.
Yeah.
We are, in the second half of the show, going to welcome the CEO of the National Pediatric Cancer Foundation, which we're very looking forward to having David Frazier on the show and to talk more in depth about that. But if we could start, and you know, the show is unedited, unscripted, with your story. I can't even imagine getting the news.
Yeah, so when Vincent was 4, so he's 5 now, he just randomly started having intense nighttime terrors. I mean, intense. Yeah. Completely fine during the day. And then at nighttime, about an hour into sleeping, he would wake up screaming. We brought him to his pediatrician a few times, probably took us about a month. They treated it for an ear infection, not really knowing. And then finally, as parents, we said, something's wrong. This is not our kid. It's not a behavioral thing. And my pediatrician was amazing and said, let's look at this. Not thinking we would find this news out.
Right. And I mean, who would imagine? And your son is so beautiful. We've been sharing the most adorable pictures of him. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. We looked at it as this is just an opportunity to check off a box, right? We've been through, it's not his ears, it's not a behavioral issue. Let's just check off this next box. So we took him in to get an MRI and a CT scan, and it came back that he had a growth or a tumor right behind his sinus cavity at the base of his skull. And they rushed us in the ER. And that's kind of where it all started. We were in the hospital for about a week as they kind of did tests to kind of narrow it down to see what it was. And then towards the end of the week, they had a biopsy, and they came back and they said it was the rhabdomyosarcoma. So then we kind of started our process and introduced to our doctors.
That was the hardest week ever. And I just felt that as soon as we got the diagnosis, I mean, the biopsy surgery was so scary. And I felt like, I felt he's going to beat this. Like, and it's scary. It's hard for me to even say it just because but I feel it in my heart. Like, he's going to beat this. And, I did not Google anything. I know Anthony might have Googled a little bit more, but we were led to our amazing doctors at All Children's, and we spent some time at Jacksonville for proton therapy. And, you know, his was localized and small. We caught it early. So I always tell parents, like, if there's something that doesn't seem right, advocate for your child. You know, we always said, this doesn't happen to us, you know. Right. But if there's something, and I pray that it doesn't happen to anybody, but just always advocate for your child and listen to your gut. Because, I mean, we could have just been treating for an ear infection, or he's 4 years old, you know, he just doesn't want to be away from us. So, but he's doing great. I mean, he's the strongest person I know. And I think it's really put our life into perspective. You know, before I would maybe complain of a headache, because I'm tired. But now he went through 10 months of grueling treatments and barely ever complained.
Yeah.
And that's really put life into perspective for me and all the kids and families we met.
Yeah.
Amazing people.
He stays
Isn't that
relatively
something?
in a good mood.
So and I mean, you could just see his smile is infectious, you know. Is there a history of cancer or pediatric cancer in your family?
None. We have nobody in our family that has cancer. I mean, my grandparents lived to be 90, 91. I believe
Mine are late 80s.
Yeah. Our parents are all strong and healthy. None. It's racked my brain. I mean, Anthony's had to deal with me. What happened? What did we do? We try and eat organic food. You know, we stay active. I don't think it matters.
Right. Did doctors ever say where this could have come from?
No. Even speaking with the doctor says don't look for a reason. It just randomly happens. We've got another family that has gone through the same thing, and again, they went through and got genetic testing before they had their second child, and they kind of got the same answer: is there's no real rhyme or reason. It just chooses a child, and then you got to deal with the repercussions of it.
So let me ask you before we bring in David Fraser, you also have another beautiful, beautiful son.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, he is adorable, and he's 16 months older.
Correct.
So, of course, with the little one, you know, so much of your focus is on that because, you know, he's sick. You have to help him. How is your other son handling it, and how do you handle it as parents?
So, I mean, I think that there was a reason why we had two boys 16 months apart, and I think Corey was my older son. Was a driver and motivation for Vincent to stay positive. He brought a light and a sense of humor to every situation. I think Corey's been a blessing through this. He really, I mean, I'm sure there's different things that he doesn't understand, and maybe that's a good thing. But I mean, he's helped us all tremendously through it.
And Anthony's smiling as he's like,
he lightens the mood.
Yeah.
You come into the house after a long day of treatment, and he's got a big smile on his face, and he knows that we've had a tough day, and he finds a way to make everybody laugh and finds a way to lighten the mood. So he's absolutely been a godsend. It also helped. We also took him to one of his treatments so he could see firsthand that, you know, even though we're spending all this time with Vincent, it's not a lot of fun time. So he got to see firsthand what Vincent goes through.
That was important.
On a daily
Yes,
basis.
you know, if you don't mind talking about that a little bit, because for other parents who might be going through this and watching, to offer some guidance.
So we had the challenge of a lot of his treatments were during COVID protocols. So there were times where only one parent could go, or you know, just the two of us and no other siblings. So we had to find a time. So a lot of the treatments, it was Anthony and I. Anthony's work was great, and he was able to be present at every single appointment. But there were times where we said, you know, Corey needs to come see this, because he would say, you know, Vincent gets to spend all this time with you, and he would see people bringing gifts to Vincent.
Right.
And everybody would always try and think of Corey as well. But so for us, he came to maybe 2 appointments, and he said to Vincent, "You're really strong." And, you know, I think it gave him a little bit of an understanding. And it also made Vincent brave when Corey was there. I mean, I think that was the first time Vincent didn't cry when they accessed his port.
Really?
Yeah.
I think it gave Vincent a little time to show off as well, to see this is what I go through, and I have to be strong during this time. Even to the point where Vincent sometimes offers Corey some advice when Corey hurts himself.
Isn't that something?
So yeah, both of them have been a godsend.
You know, honestly, of course, you don't want any family to go through what you're going through, but talk about bonding the family
100%
together.
I mean, there's been a lot of, it's hard to say blessings when you're going through pediatric cancer, but there's been a lot of moments that we're going to cherish forever, and seeing the strength that our family has overcome through this. I mean, his mom and my mom, they stopped their lives for 3 weeks and lived with us in Jacksonville when he was getting his proton therapy. I mean, our friends, our coworkers, everybody just really showed us to support. The people like David over at the National Pediatric Cancer Foundation, and all the doctors, and people are so good.
They are so good. And speaking of David, we're going to go to a break right now. And when we come back to the show, we're going to introduce David to the audience.
Thank you.
100%. So stay with us, everybody. We'll be back in just a moment.
Why is Precision Garage Door a name you can trust? Because of the Precision Promise.
Precision Garage Door, this is Sophia. How may I help you?
Your call is answered day or night by a live person ready to help.
That's our promise.
Our technicians will arrive on time in one of our recognizable, fully stocked vehicles.
That's our promise.
And there's never an extra charge for nights or weekends to repair your garage door. Quality service quickly from a name you can trust. That's the Precision Promise.
Precision Door Service, a name you can trust.
Label Swap is a retail store that you can bring in the items you don't want anymore. We will buy them for either a cash offer or store credit, and you can also shop the items as well. We carry anything from H&M, Lululemon, up to your luxury items like Gucci and Louis Vuitton. There's nothing really around like it here in the market. It is a fun, personalized experience.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to On the Record. We just heard the heartwarming story from Melanie and Anthony DiTinno about your beautiful 5-year-old son.
Thank you.
Who, good news coming up, right?
Absolutely.
Wonderful.
Ringing that bell, that final bell.
Yes, that's
Very
wonderful.
soon.
5 more weeks.
And joining us now is CEO of the National Pediatric Cancer Foundation, David Frazier. David, thank you so much for being here today with us.
It's my pleasure to be on the record with you and the DiTinnos.
It's wonderful to have you all here. And, you know, of course, September is the month where is pediatric cancer awareness. So, David, tell us a little bit about the nonprofit, the organization, and, you know, gosh, we're honored that it's actually based in Tampa, Florida.
Correct. Yeah, we are headquartered in Tampa, Florida. The National Pediatric Cancer Foundation has been in existence for 31 years. Like this family, we were founded by 2 parents that had children that are still surviving that wanted to do something about the disease, so they started raising awareness and funds. And before you know it, they were doing pretty good, and they had a decision point of what do we do with this money? Do we do what traditionally a lot of folks do is quality of life? Do we provide toys or finances or support? But they said, no, we need to focus on research to find the answer, to find the cure. And our mission was tagged from day one to focus on being less toxic, more therapeutic treatment research.
Wow. So when you hear stories like from Melanie and Anthony, sadly, there are a lot of stories like this. How do you help the families?
I hear from thousands of families across the country a year long. 43 children a day are diagnosed with cancer.
43 a day?
43 a day. Cancer is the #1 cause of death for children besides accidents. By disease, cancer is the #1 cause of death for children. The other statistic that I really dislike is that 95% of the children that receive therapies have lifetime impairments. We are putting 1950 nuclear medicine into children. Think about that. So as their brains are developing, their organs are developing, their bones, their tissues, when the treatment for cancer occurs, it's harsh on those bodies that are developing. So we want to do research that makes that treatment less toxic. There's hundreds of drugs that treat adults for cancer, but there are only 10 drugs approved by the government for treatment with children. That's another anomaly we want to curb. So we have a lot of research going on. We have 30 plus partner hospitals across the country. We run this consortium through this idea created here in Tampa and have scaled it nationwide to try to find more creative, more novel, more impactful science.
So I have to say, you know, these statistics are so, you know, they're hard to hear.
So hard.
It's wonderful that the positive impact and change that, you know, we try to focus on the record. But sitting here as parents, I mean, is it surreal to you that you're here and listening?
Heartbreaking. I mean, that's why we want to work with people like David and the National Pediatric Cancer Foundation, because our kids need better. I mean, they need better than that. And you know, I keep saying, you know, you don't think it happened to us, and then you hear something like 43 kids a day, and you always hear, well, it's rare, but it's not.
It's
and
43 a day.
Your kid. And so yes, it's heartbreaking, and we want to make a difference.
How do families connect? Like, how did you find David and the team?
So, again, with that 43 a day, I have a friend that had gone through the same battle with his son. And he was kind of my my sounding board as soon as we got our diagnosis. And I called him, and he kind of walked me back from the ledge several times during our first diagnosis. And he set us up. He set the introduction with David and his team over at the National Pediatric Cancer Foundation. And from there, after we got to a certain point in learning all of this information on the lack of funding and the lack of support sometimes, we just said that we have to do better, and the way that you do better is by getting involved. So we started trying to get involved and get more involved and raise awareness and help them raise money. So then, you know, hopefully the next set of children don't have to go through the same, same battle.
That friend, by coincidence, is the chair of my research committee. Also a parent that had a child that battled and lost their life. So the family's truly dedicated to the cause. But that started with the connections of, you know, you can find support groups on the web. And we decided here from Tampa that we needed to be the national organization that people could find and go to eventually get involved in science. Because the government, as Anthony alluded to, only funds 4% of the entire NIH budget for oncology support. Only 4% goes to children's research. It's backwards. It ought to be the other way around. So nonprofits or NGOs step up like we do, and we fill the gap. Actually, tomorrow, we are announcing prize winners for what we call the 43 Challenge. So we focus on that number of 43 children a day to drive home the message that when people do get diagnosed, they can find us and they know that we're going to keep attacking to lower that number. And the way that we will attack that is by funding more science. So this past year, we offered up a prize challenge of $4.3 million for novel new science out of the box, out of the systems, and we publicized that nationwide. I've got a bunch of proposals we went through, and we vetted it from 25 to 9 to 3, and tomorrow we're going to announce 3 winners of some really cool, innovative science that is being done outside of the normal system because the regular system takes forever to get it done.
Isn't that something? So that money will go to the prize winner to dedicate towards science.
All science. And that's, so an example I heard earlier, like their child received radiation treatment. So think about that. When you go to the dentist, they put that lead vest on you, and then there's this machine that comes down and zooms in on you, and there's a circle of radiation that's hitting your body. Well, if you're a young child, that radiation is doing harm to you. So why can't there be a better treatment? So one of our prize winners is a person that has studied the effects of nuclear radiation from World War II in survivors from Nagasaki and Hiroshima.
Isn't that something?
And they're taking that science, and he thinks that we can treat kids differently with radiation. So chemo, radiation, and surgery are the 3 modalities of treatment. So if we can improve at least radiation and get less side effects and have less toxicity, that's one potential solution that can be adopted nationwide, and we change the system. And we save more kids' lives.
See, and I think the word change, right? Changing the system, saving lives, that's what should resonate. That's the message that we're trying to get across. So David, once the families, like the DiTinnos, are connected with you, how do you start to help them? And is it also like financial help? Do you also offer that financial support for families? Because you know, you go through a lot, and we were talking about it before the show. Oftentimes, one family member has to quit their job, or sometimes both family members have to quit their job. I'll let you speak.
You know, the DiTinnos were fortunate because they knew somebody and they got some guidance. The worst place you want to go is the internet. So we've actually created an office, we call it the Health Navigator, to where we have a registered nurse who's also the parent of a surviving child that has been through what they have been through, and they provide online guidance. You can call, you can go and connect via the web, and you get that direct personal consultation, not medical advice, but what do I do? How do you find great physicians and hospitals that can care for sometimes the very rare cancer that exists? And so, you know, having that connectivity is important. We also created an educational toolkit. I mean, I work with hundreds of doctors and nurses and experts. We've authored the toolkit that we provide and publish and provide to families when they get diagnosed at the hospital setting. So it's good information. And then eventually we know that those families are going to get involved in research, and we want them to know that there is a credible effort going on in research in our country through the National Pediatric Cancer Foundation. So there is credible sourced information, and that access to that information is readily available through our website, nationalpcf.org.
How beneficial was that that toolkit to you guys?
I mean, hearing David speak just brings tears to my eyes. I mean, it's just so, we're so fortunate to have you and this foundation, and everybody is. So just hearing the passion and the people that we've met, it's so heartwarming and touching.
And speaking to that toolkit, when you're getting all that information, it's drinking from a fire hose, right? All of it is just being dumped on you. So you just try to digest as much as you can and then take notes and remember what the doctor said. And that's part of what that toolkit is, is it allows you to make notes, put down your schedule, put down your calendar of when your treatment cycles are going to be, what to expect. So it's helped out significantly. And then making sure that what's going on with him is all part of his process and his healing process.
Well, it's interesting that you mentioned the fire hose because your little one really wants to be a firefighter, and
yes.
part of the efforts, right, to raise money for this amazing foundation are some of the fashion shows that are coming up, which I will be attending one on October 15th. But David said he wants to put me to work, so we'll have to get that. We'll have to listen to that after the show.
I think somebody's going to be ended up emceeing that show.
Oh, okay.
Or walking the runway, whatever you prefer.
What an honor, and thank you for asking me that on the record. That would be, of course, be such an honor. But so tell us about these shows, and is this a great way for the community to get involved? You know, buy tickets. Does the money, I would imagine, goes to the foundation?
We've created a really cool platform. We call it the All-American series of Help Fund the Cure. So actually tomorrow we launched Help Fund the Cure, and it's a way for people to get involved and donate an increment of $43. Just $43. But we also engage people through these events. So like Fashion Fund Secure is our signature event. We deliver Fashion Fund Secure in 20 markets now across the country. What you're referring to is on September the 9th, we will hold fashion in Sarasota at Michael's on East restaurant. There are a couple hundred people there. And then in October 15th in St. Petersburg, Florida, we'll have it again in part of our fishing tournament, Fishing Fund Secure. But Fashion Fund Secure is really cool. We have children like Vincent that will walk the runway dressed based on what they want to be when they grow up and defeat cancer.
And he, oh my gosh, that just like brings tears to my eyes because he wants to be a firefighter.
And we pair that with people from that profession.
Yeah, and he
So I
feels
think,
so special.
we have the St. Petersburg Fire Department, not to give anything away, but I think there'll be a bunch of them.
Such great guys.
It should be really cool.
Yes,
We'll have
took care of
ballerinas, Hasbro with Peppa Pig, Captain America, a doctor, just a few to give you a limelight of what's going to happen. But Vincent's going to steal the show.
But you know what? That is so great so the foundation works on, and I want people to absorb this. So they pair our young models with who they want to be. I mean, that is just, I mean, what an inspirational, beautiful idea. So you can support the cause, of course, by going to one of the shows. But throughout the year, if you want to support the cause, what is the best way?
Well, there's a couple ways. You know, if you're an individual, you go and you donate to our cause at nationalpcf.org. Now it's helpfundthecure.org. Helpfundthecure.org is a great way to donate. We think that $43 is a price point that works for most families.
I think that's a wonderful price point.
And it strongly resonates why you're doing it, because we want to lower the 43 children a day that are diagnosed with cancer. So the online donations is a phenomenal way. If you're a company, you can get involved and provide corporate support. You can buy our gift boxes. We make our own beer called Rising Hope. We make our own coffee called Hope Rising. We provide Diella Garcia oil, olive oil now, we provide as a gift box. So if you're a company and you want to thank your patrons or your customers or your vendors at the end of the year, you can buy our gift box, which is 100% tax write-off, and make a contribution to the cause. We are very entrepreneurial and very creative with how we approach nonprofit fundraising. And as a result, we're very responsible with what we do with those dollars. The watchdog group called Charity Navigator rates all the nonprofits in the country that raise more than $1 million. We, the National Pediatric Cancer Foundation, have been #1 in all of the cancer space for 11 years in a row.
Congratulations.
That's 90 cents on the dollar. Goes right where it's supposed to go.
90 cents.
It's phenomenal.
You know, and that's so, gosh, I mean, when you hear that, as someone like myself, right? Like then you choose which nonprofits you may want to financially support. I mean, that is so comforting to hear that 90 cents. And I love that idea, David, about because people are drinking coffee anyway, you're using olive oil anyway, you know, you're doing these things anyway, and you're helping at the same time.
We have walk and runs. We call it walk, run, and roll. And this family is hosting and going co-chairing our walk, run, and roll event on February 18th at Raymond James Stadium. So you can come out and you can walk for the cause, Walking Fund Secure, or you can run for the cause. And we also have cars that will be there. That's the roll port. Or you can ride a bike or a scooter or a rollerblade or whatever you want to do. Walk, run, and roll for 43. February 18th, Raymond James Stadium.
Wonderful. So talk about that a little bit and why this is so important to the two of you.
Yeah, so going through after we got our diagnosis and he's going through his treatments, we kind of wanted to, I guess, really isolate to make sure that he stays as healthy as possible. And both of us were avid runners when we were dating, and as we got married, and we just continued to run. And so we kind of dedicated some time to running every day, and we set milestones for every month, and we increased it throughout his treatment time. And it was a time for us to reflect on what was going on with our family, pray, just kind of be in our own thoughts. So when he had finished up his frontline chemo, we started talking about actually putting together a race just ourselves.
Oh, I envisioned it, you know, him having rung the bell, and you know, and now we're taking our running and raising money for cancer research. I envisioned it almost every run, and I think he did the same thing.
Same thing. So we initially started putting it together, and we reached out to the charities that we wanted to support. And after talking with David, he said, listen, we've got a program that why don't we bring you in and allow you to kind of take the lead and help build it around you. And then after talking to him, so we could do a lot more damage with his support and his efforts.
It was an honor.
A lot more good.
A lot more good damage. Bring a lot more eyes to it and support around it. So
we were thinking very small scale, and then after talking to David, we're like, this is a no-brainer. We're honored. Let's make this bigger.
Let's make this bigger and stronger, right?
We don't have enough time to find the answers.
Absolutely,
That's why we do this.
100%.
So further exceeded any of our aspirations. So we're looking forward to it and putting it all together. So it's exciting.
Well, I'll say on the record, you know, we're looking forward to having you guys on another show where as we get closer to the event, we can talk about it. And as we wrap up the show, I also want to, of course, thank you so much for speaking out and sharing this.
For having us and raising awareness for this important cause for our kids.
It is honestly my honor and privilege as a journalist to be able to do this, and hopefully affect some type of positive change. I also wanted to take a moment though and thank you both for your service to this country. You both said Air Force, correct?
I was Marines.
Marines and Air Force. And you know, RHS TV, which is our platform that we're launching, Red House Streaming TV. It is red, white, and blue for a purpose. Yes. We do never have any proper thanks for our country, so thank you again. And we hope we can show that through the network.
Thanks. Thank you.
So David Fraser, Melanie, and Anthony DiTinno, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having us.
Absolutely. And, you know, I'd like to say to the audience, you know, so many of these shows are recommendations from you. So if you have a show idea, please email us. I mean, whether it's personal, love, business, community, we love hearing from you. You can send your ideas to production@redhousestreaming.com. We're also on multiple social media platforms, so please share the stories because, again, we're trying to affect positive change. We're also on Roku, and we have some major announcements coming soon with RHS TV. So once again, thank you again so much for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
I love seeing people smile. Stay safe, everybody, and we'll see you next week.